When it comes to SOC2 audits, logs and screenshots serve as the unfiltered language of truth. They are the direct, time-stamped artifacts that confirm whether a control truly operated as described. Yet not all evidence is created equal. Some artifacts are complete, authentic, and readily verifiable. Others are insufficient, misleading, or unusable under audit scrutiny. The purpose of defining acceptable versus rejected logs and screenshots is to establish clear, repeatable standards for what audit-ready means. This ensures every piece of evidence satisfies the twin pillars of sufficiency and appropriateness while maintaining traceability from control to artifact. A disciplined evidence standard brings order to the chaos of data, turning system outputs into coherent, trustworthy proof of compliance. Logs hold a central place in SOC 2 evidence because they represent a continuous, objective record of events. They show who did what, when, and on which system. In the eyes of an auditor, a well-structured log is both a witness and a time-stamped signature verifying accountability. Logs confirm that automated controls executed successfully, that changes were approved before deployment, and that incidents were detected and responded to in a timely manner. They also support completeness testing. Auditors can validate that all relevant events were captured within the defined scope and period. Unlike policies or screenshots, logs cannot bluff. They reveal the true operational rhythm of an environment and expose deviations as clearly as successes. For a log to be acceptable as SOC2 evidence, it must include several core attributes. Every entry should contain a precise timestamp, the source system, and the actor or process responsible for the activity. The log must be system-generated, not manually typed or reconstructed later, and it must remain unaltered from its original state. Time synchronization across systems using UTC or a consistent time zone ensures that multi-system events align. The data should fall within the SOC operating period and reflect the correct scope boundaries. Finally, logs must be exportable in a native or structured format such as JSON or CSV, allowing auditors to filter, sort, and test them directly. These traits make a log not only valid but useful, capable of standing as independent, verifiable proof. In contrast, unacceptable logs tend to share common flaws that undermine integrity. Any record that has been manually edited, reformatted, or recreated after the fact loses credibility immediately. Missing timestamps or inconsistent time zones prevent auditors from correlating events across systems. Partial exports that omit relevant context, like only the success entries but not the failures, suggest selective evidence and fail completeness tests. Even screenshots of logs are problematic if they exclude metadata or lack a verifiable source identifier. Logs must preserve authenticity from origin to presentation. Once manipulation or incompleteness enters the picture, the evidence ceases to meet the sufficiency standard auditors require. Retention and integrity controls protect the reliability of log evidence over time. Organizations must define how long logs are stored, typically matching regulatory or contractual commitments, often 1 to 3 years beyond the audit period. Immutability mechanisms such as write once, read many, warm storage, or secure cloud retention settings prevent tampering and unauthorized deletion. Generating hash digests for each log file enables later verification that the data remains unchanged. Monitoring systems should alert on unexpected deletions or access attempts. These safeguards prove that evidence integrity is not assumed. It is engineered, monitored, and measurable, providing auditors with confidence that what they see now is exactly what existed during operation. Screenshots play a different but complementary role. They serve as visual evidence for system configurations, policy settings, or interfaces that cannot be fully represented in logs. A screenshot shows the state of a control at a specific moment, whether encryption is enabled, whether MFA is required, or whether a policy flag is turned on. However, screenshots must not become a substitute for logs. They are supplements, not replacements. Their strength lies in showing what the interface looked like when an audit-relevant setting was active. Screenshots should always include environmental context, such as environment name, date, and time, and follow consistent formatting for resolution and clarity. Properly executed, they help auditors visualize compliance without introducing ambiguity. Acceptable screenshot practices mirror the discipline expected of logs. Each image should display the system name or URL, a visible timestamp, and the relevant control or setting in full context, not cropped fragments. The capture should avoid sensitive data exposure while maintaining evidential value. If annotation is necessary, it must be minimal, clearly labeled, and non-destructive to the original image. Screenshots should be saved in a lossless or high-resolution format to preserve legibility and stored in a location with restricted modification permissions. When these criteria are met, screenshots can function as credible, traceable visual confirmations that strengthen the narrative told by logs and tickets. Rejected screenshots, by contrast, almost always fail due to missing context or tampering. Cropped images that remove system identifiers, timestamps, or user information cannot be validated. Screenshots lacking ownership context, no record of who captured them or which environment they represent, lose traceability. Manipulation through editing software, heavy redaction, or added annotations that obscure original data disqualifies the image outright. Even reusing screenshots from prior audit periods undermines the credibility of current evidence. Auditors are trained to look for these flaws. A single questionable image can trigger requests for expanded testing or follow-up documentation. Audit-ready means fresh, contextual, and unaltered. Anything less fails the standard. Metadata validation ties the entire evidence chain together. Every log and screenshot should have a digital fingerprint, a checksum or file hash to prove authenticity. File names should include creation date, collector identity, and control reference number to ensure traceability. A centralized evidence index links each artifact to its associated control, test objective, and sampling population. Automated QA scripts can scan for missing timestamps, mismatch naming, or absent hashes, catching issues before fieldwork begins. This metadata framework allows auditors to trace any artifact from its original system to its place in the evidence library, satisfying the audit principles of completeness, accuracy, and reproducibility. Automation dramatically improves reliability for log evidence. Scheduled exports from SIEM, monitoring, or IAM systems capture event data at defined intervals, reducing the risk of omission. These exports feed into centralized repositories where retention and versioning are enforced. API-based integrity verification using checksums or digital signatures ensures that what enters the repository is identical to what left the source system. Dashboards displaying log volume, retention status, and ingestion health make readiness visible at a glance. Automated collection doesn't just save time, it standardizes process quality, eliminates manual variability, and creates a repeatable chain of custody every auditor can trust. Screenshot automation follows the same philosophy. Scripted captures via browser automation tools, or APIs, can verify UI configurations daily or weekly, storing each image with timestamps and version tags. This is especially useful for controls where state changes occur frequently, like security group rules, password policies, or encryption settings. Automated uploads to evidence repositories eliminate human transfer risk while ensuring timely collection. Versioning allows reviewers to trace configuration drift or confirm consistency across the period. By replacing ad hoc screenshots with systematic, policy-driven captures, organizations achieve continuous evidence readiness without overwhelming manual effort. Chain of custody controls remain essential even in automated environments. Every evidence item log, file, or screenshot should have a collection record listing the collector identity, date, and method of capture. Transfers between systems or repositories must include timestamps and confirmation of successful upload. Post-upload modification rights should be restricted to a small authorized group. Quarterly reviews of changelogs confirm that no evidence files were altered or replaced outside approved workflows. This procedural rigor converts raw data into defensible proof, ensuring that no auditor can question the integrity or provenance of your evidence chain. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. The Evidence Review Checklist provides a structured way to confirm that every log and screenshot meets audit readiness criteria before submission. Reviewers should first ensure timestamps fall squarely within the SOC 2 operating period, demonstrating that artifacts reflect the actual time frame under examination. Next, verify that each log or image includes clear system identifiers, hostname, application name, or URL, and explicit owner attribution for accountability. Cross-reference the artifact against its population sample or control matrix entry to ensure traceability. Finally, confirm that the context shown is relevant to the auditor's test objective. A screenshot of an encryption setting, for example, should display the policy status and environment name, not a cropped snippet of the interface. This pre-submission checklist acts as a quality gate, transforming ad hoc evidence into consistent, verifiable assurance. Audit sampling expectations reinforce discipline across the collection process. When auditors request samples, provide logs or screenshots drawn directly from the population defined for that control, complete with documentation of query logic or collection parameters. Evidence must represent the entire audit window, not just isolated success events. Redactions should be limited to personal or confidential data, and any concealed content must be accompanied by a note explaining what was hidden and why. Auditors often validate population completeness by checking sequential record counts or time continuity. Maintaining these indicators proves transparency. Always preserve raw, unedited files in case the auditor requests direct verification. Meeting these expectations signals that your team not only understands sampling rigor, but embraces it as part of responsible evidence handling. Redaction and privacy management form the ethical guardrails of audit documentation. Personal or sensitive data must never appear in artifacts without necessity. Redactions must be precise, preserving all fields required for audit relevance while removing identifiers such as names, email addresses, or system secrets. Document the redaction process. What was removed, who approved it, and what tool or method was used. Keep original, unredacted versions stored securely under restricted access in case regulators require review. Over-redaction is as risky as under-redaction. Removing too much context can render an artifact useless or cause auditors to question integrity. The goal is balance. Protect privacy without undermining the evidential narrative. A robust reviewer and QA process ensures that only high-quality evidence reaches the auditor. Dual review, where two independent reviewers verify artifacts, reduces oversight errors. The first reviewer checks technical completeness, while the second validates contextual accuracy and clarity. Periodic spot checks confirm timestamp alignment, resolution readability, and metadata presence. Tracking QA defects and rework rates identifies recurring weaknesses, guiding training and automation improvements. Maintaining an improvement log allows you to show auditors that evidence quality management itself is a controlled, auditable process. Quality assurance isn't a postscript. It is part of the evidence lifecycle, ensuring that artifacts reflect real, consistent control performance. Integration with Continuous Control Monitoring, CCM, extends log and screenshot validation into a living feedback loop. Automated dashboards can link logs to ongoing control health indicators, pulling evidence directly from CCM outputs. When alerts trigger, automated screenshot captures or log exports can record the event state for later analysis. Correlating these artifacts across controls, such as linking a failed access control log to a configuration screenshot, demonstrates how continuous monitoring feeds continuous assurance. This integration produces real-time readiness reporting, where the line between daily operations and audit evidence effectively disappears. Continuous monitoring, combined with evidence automation, moves SOC 2 from retrospective validation to real-time verification. Metrics and key risk indicators turn evidence management into measurable performance. Track acceptance rate of evidence on first audit pass as a direct gauge of quality. Monitor average time to collect for artifacts, QA defect rates, and the proportion of automated versus manual evidence. Record exceptions identified during testing and how quickly they were corrected. These indicators form a quantitative narrative about maturity. Fewer defects, faster turnaround, and greater automation show auditors that control operations are not only effective but continuously improving. A steady increase in first-pass acceptance rate is one of the clearest signs that your evidence governance program is both efficient and trustworthy. Common pitfalls in log and screenshot management often arise from timing and inconsistency. Collecting logs outside the audit window breaks period alignment, while screenshots lacking metadata lose traceability. Exporting new evidence after the cutoff date, especially without version control, creates confusion over which artifact belongs to which testing cycle. Overlapping or duplicate screenshots, mislabeled file names, and mismatched timestamps between systems can all derail audit efficiency. The remedy is automation, supported by validation scripts that confirm timestamps, file names, and metadata consistency automatically. By shifting verification from manual inspection to code, you prevent the most frequent and avoidable evidence errors before they reach QA review. Cross-category mapping demonstrates how logs and screenshots support multiple trust criteria simultaneously. Operational logs directly validate CC7 for system monitoring and incident detection, while incident analysis logs reinforce CC9's expectations around risk mitigation. Screenshots documenting access settings or encryption policies support CC5 governance and CC6 security. Reusing verified artifacts across frameworks, SOC 2, ISO 27001, NIST SP 853, or CIS, saves effort and reinforces consistency. A single configuration screenshot might prove compliance for encryption under SOC 2, demonstrate implementation of ISO Control A.10.1, and satisfy NIST SC 13 simultaneously. Centralizing evidence management ensures that one high-quality artifact serves many purposes without duplication. Training for evidence collectors ensures consistency across teams and audit cycles. Everyone responsible for gathering logs or screenshots should use a standard checklist defining acceptable formats, required metadata, and storage locations. Workshops comparing pass-fail examples help collectors recognize subtle differences between complete and insufficient. Running these sessions ahead of audit season creates muscle memory and reduces last-minute rework. Collectors should be measured by accountability metrics such as defect rates and on-time submission percentages, reinforcing that evidence quality is a shared responsibility. When people know exactly what auditors will accept or reject, they can deliver confidence, not confusion. Maturity progression in evidence management mirrors the journey toward continuous assurance. Level 1 organizations rely on manual screenshots and ad hoc log exports. Level 2 introduces structured templates, metadata tracking, and QA processes. Level 3 automates collection through scheduled exports and integrity validation, eliminating manual gaps. Level 4 achieves predictive readiness, using analytics to forecast where evidence deficiencies might occur and correcting them proactively. At this stage, the evidence pipeline becomes self-maintaining. Logs are ingested continuously, screenshots generated automatically, and integrity monitored by algorithms. Maturity isn't just about speed, it's about reliability and foresight. Governance and documentation close the loop by defining how evidence is managed end-to-end. A written policy should specify acceptable evidence formats, retention periods, redaction rules, and QA requirements. These procedures belong in the control library so auditors can trace them directly to the system description. Exception approvals, such as when a log feed fails or a screenshot must be manually recreated, require written justification by compliance leadership. Quarterly reviews of storage permissions ensure that only authorized curators can modify or delete evidence. When governance is transparent and consistent, it reassures auditors that your evidence process is itself under control, a meta-control proving the integrity of all others.